When the doors swing wide open, I thought it was the Lord. The way that door opened, when the gates swing open. Just wow.
Okay. What she did?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo.
Good morning, sir.
Morning,
Finally,
Jermaine.
we can have some intellectual conversations around here.
The gates swing
Oh,
over.
she can still hear, man.
I ain't scared. Jermaine was running this
Everybody
morning.
ain't scared.
Did you see?
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't here when Jermaine was
Doc,
running
listen,
around
I
the
took
building.
off like Carl Lewis.
What?
Yeah, Carl Lewis was fine.
Mr. I want to be Michael Jackson.
Right. Say, that was Carl Lewis.
Oh, that's right. He did kill the national anthem.
Say,
Well, speaking of sports, today is July 1st. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Hey.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Just for
Wow.
all you sports fans, let me just read the article from ESPN. The calendar has turned to July 1st. And that means one thing. It's time for the Mets fans. Everywhere the Brewers are playing the Mets. They play them tonight. Everywhere to wish each other a happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Why? On Tuesday, 62-year-old Bobby Bonilla will collect the check for $1,193,000. That's 1.1 million. I'm not even going to try. Almost 2 million. As he
You rounding up?
yeah, around, yeah. As he has and will every July 1st from 2011 through 2035 when he turns 74, I think that's the age. Because of baseball's salary structure, Bobby Bonilla's annual payday is often more than some of the game's current young stars will make in a given year. But the Mets are not alone in the practice of handing out deferred payments to star players long after they last suited up for their team. With past MVP and Cy Young winners among the notable names still collecting annual paychecks from their previous employers. This past offseason, deferred money became an even bigger talking point across the sports, with the Los Angeles Dodgers frequently opting for structures highlighted by a deal with Shohei Ohtani that will delay payments for $680 million of his $700 million mega deal. He'll start receiving $68 million per year in the year 2034.
Wow.
Talk about deferred compensation. So here's everything you need
How
to
do you
know
sign
about
something
Bobby.
like that, not knowing that you're going to even be around?
Well, with your family. Family get the money, so inheritance, man. Here's everything you need to know about Bonilla's payday, deferred money, and the current plays, So why is Bobby Bonilla getting this payday? In 2000, the Mets agreed to buy out the remaining $5.9 million on Bonilla's contract. However, instead of paying Bonilla the $5.9 million at the time, the Mets agreed to make annual payments of nearly $1.2 million for 25 years starting July 1st, 2011, including a negotiated 8% interest. So the money is making money. That's how they're paying them the money.
That's a hell of a deal.
At the time, the Mets ownership was invested in a Bernie Madoff account that promised double-digit returns, and the Mets were poised to make a significant profit if Madoff's accounts delivered, but that did not work out, obviously. Mr. Madoff went to prison. Under new owner Steve Cohen, who mentioned the possibility of celebrating Bonilla at Citi Field annually soon after taking over the team, the Mets have embraced Bonilla's day. It is a rare, but it's not unusual. Bonilla last played with the Mets in 1999, last played in the majors for the Cardinals in 2001, but he'll be paid through 2035 when he'll be 72. He's not the only one. Brett Saberhagen, he was a pitcher, receives $250,000 a year for the Mets for 25 years. Payments also began in 2004. This was an inspiration for the Bonilla deal. Matt Scherzer will receive $100 million total from the Nationals that will be paid out through 2028. Manny Ramirez will collect $24.2 million total from the Red Sox through 2026. Chris Davis, anybody heard of Chris Davis? Well, he's going to collect $59 million deferred payments during a 15-year stretch. You were talking about baseball and how in baseball, there is no salary cap.
Yeah.
But this probably has been one of the best deals ever in terms
Ever.
of what you're looking at
Yeah.
and making money. Didn't Iverson have something though where he had deferred money that he wouldn't get until he was 50? I think he had because look, man, when you're young, you spend that money.
Oh yeah. Quick.
So the fact that he's doing it, so yeah, today is Bobby Bonilla Day, and getting paid.
Yeah, cut the check, Doc.
Cut the check.
Yeah.
Hold on. Deferred money. Here we go. Allen Iverson has a deferred payment structure in his lifetime contract with Reebok, which includes an $800 million annual salary and a $32 million trust fund that will be available to him in 2030 when he turns 55.
So he got to wait for 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah. And this is with Reebok. Are they still in business?
Yeah, but man, their shoes is not selling.
Right. So, if you get people real good with your money. Now, the thing about Michael Jackson when he was living was he spent a lot of money. He spent a whole lot of money. He was so in debt. But he had set up that when he died, who was Mr. Brofman and another guy would come in. He didn't let the family handle the money. He brought people in who knew how to make money. So not only did the estate pay off all the debts, then I think they went about a half of $400 million that they've been able to generate. So it makes a real big difference. One of the things about working for the county was I had friends who worked in the private sector, and their salaries were far more than mine. But the benefit package, and the greatest benefit package I had working for the county, was to retire with a fixed pension fund, right? And there were other benefits like lifetime health insurance. And then that would translate into, I think up till 2015, you had to retire by 2015. They pay my Medicare premiums and my wife's Medicare premiums. So sometimes we can take all the money up front.
Did you benefit from the pension scandal?
We don't like to call it a scandal.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Where you talk about drop back? Yeah, you damn Skippy out there.
Damn Skippy.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord. I sure did.
Yeah,
I
county,
didn't get. There was some people like this dude just walked out. I think he was a lawyer in child support. He got over $1 million. Now, what people don't understand is that it's basically your money.
right.
Okay. So what's going to happen is you take a lump sum. You're going to get a reduced monthly pension, but you're taking a lump sum. It's coming out of the pension. It is not coming out of county funds. The only thing that is coming out of county funds that pays retirees is your legacy costs. So if my medical, that kind of thing. But other than that, it's coming out the pension. So it's your money. It's not the county money. You just take it up front. Now, you will take close to a 40% tax hit.
If you draw it all down.
Yeah. Now, some people will roll the money over, but depending on your age, because a buddy of mine, when he got his drop back, he invested it. I think
But isn't that what they do? Isn't that what the county doesn't invest?
Well, that's the pension fund is investment.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That's why, when kind of go like the stock market going down,
Up, down.
or up. Yeah. Now, it is not as vulnerable to market fluctuations as 401ks, other type of investment, because it's a fixed fund. So the only thing you would have a problem with, I'm gonna use this big word, would be liquidity, to make sure that you have enough money to be able to pay the benefit. And the issue that they were having at the county, I don't know if we still at that.
What was that guy's name? Tom Ament, was it?
Yeah, Mr. Ament.
Yeah, I'm sure you call him Mr. Ament. He did well by you. Did well by you.
Love me some Mr. Ament.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ament.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ament. We sick, Mr. Ament?
We sick.
We sick,
And
Mr.
we
Ament.
sick.
Ain't no good lines at Camp 8, boss. No good lines.
But there was a couple other things they did too, where there's something they call, I'm trying to think what it's called. It's a calculator, and what you get, and so it could be. Now I think when I retired, that calculator would be like you would just say 2.5 on a dollar, and I think I was up like 2.7, and they've reduced that. That don't even. And new employees now are coming in or going into the state retirement system because Wisconsin has the best retirement system in the country in terms of solvency and what they have. So, yeah. All right. Let's see.
How do we end up down that road?
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yep.
I would just like to say to Debo, that was called the big beautiful deal.
The big beautiful deal.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
and stay out of our business.
I know what they call that, the county pension
Got
scandal.
here, man. There was one particular sister would call in.
Everybody
She'd
made
always talk
out.
about, you need to cut those county and city pensions in half.
Who said that?
She called the big beautiful deal. It sure was.
Beautiful.
It sure was, man. So yeah, and I had even, and the interesting thing about long term, my buddies probably because they had a few more years on me there, we started talking about retirement when I was 10 years in. And I never thought about it. I never looked at what is that called, Gwen? Is that the calculator? What is that?
Yeah, the calculator.
Right.
That
because I think it was like 272. It was really high when I walked out the door.
Mm-hmm.
They done reduced it now. I think it's down to 1 something.
I know.
But yeah, so they were talking about retirement. And here's how you're getting old in a job is because, at the county, what you get, your vacation is based on years of service.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I looked up and I had 6 weeks of vacation.
I know.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, what am I do?
So let me ask you this. Is that one of those cases? I know in some jobs that you use it or lose it. You can get paid out for yours, couldn't you?
What do you mean?
Yeah, we could, or roll it over.
Oh, you talking about
but after a while, they would only let us roll over like 40 hours.
Oh, you're talking about unused
The
time.
vacation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unused vacation time. Yeah, because part of the problem when you roll over comp time, when you roll over vacation time, it's paid out in the next year's budget.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people, so that's why they're trying to get everything done. So if you earned it in 2025, they want most of it, if not all of it, used in 2025. If not, the budget takes a hit in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Man.
Because you only budgeted for so much for 2026,
Right.
And you carrying overs.
You carrying over.
That makes sense.
Now, for management, it's a little bit different because management is usually 24/7. So because you're 24/7, it's a different calculation.
Right.
But it used to be prior to, I'm trying to think, that last contract that was signed before the unions were gone. Were we getting 80? There was 100% payout of sick time?
Oh, yeah, before that last contract, because
Right, before that last
then
contract.
it went to 25%. But I had like 500, 800 hours of 100%.
Yeah, I ended up
When I retired, the rest of it went to the 25.
Yeah, because when I retired, Bobby, Mary, and some others filed a class action suit because they were reducing ours to, I think, 80%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I remember my sick time payout was 2 different checks. One was based on the old formula, and then one was based on the new formula. Now, unlike the state where your sick time unused is used for your retirement.
For your medical.
Premiums. Right.
Yeah, and then when that's gone, what?
Yeah, now it's out of pocket.
Right.
So, yeah, it really was a big, beautiful deal. Thank you for that descriptive of what it was. And I don't know anybody. Now, there was some administrators who signed away that right. I remember Stephanie Stein told Scott Walker, yeah, I ain't signing it away. And then there were some people who were in interim positions who went back to their regular position so then they could get that benefit when they retired, because he was requiring people in his cabinet to sign away that benefit if they were permanently appointed. But Stephanie Stein was like, that ain't happening.
I
And you
know
know
that's
what? She
right.
was like one of the most powerful people. Everybody talks about the county exec. Everybody talks about the county board chair. But no, when Stephanie Stein was over the Office of Aging, I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you heard the conversation Supervisor Martin was having, talking about the seniors in Milwaukee County. Seniors are kings and queens. And there's some political reasons for that. Because guess what seniors show up to do? Vote.
Vote.
They show up to vote.
Yes, they do.
Because when the county was talking about cutting Meals on Wheels,
Look, I said yes, they do. No, yes, we do.
yes, we do. Yep. All right, dear. Well,
Okay, well, thank you. I
Bonilla
just
Day
wanted
to
to
you.
straighten Debo out.
I'm straight now. I'm
She
straight.
just did
I
a letter
appreciate it.
on
Straight
you.
now.
Let's straighten it out.
Big,
All right,
beautiful
you
deal,
guys
huh?
have a wonderful day. This big, beautiful, you have to say it, big, beautiful deal.
You know, it's beautiful.
On Bobby Bonilla Day.
Beautiful, but it's a deal. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is
All right,
that,
appreciate
is that y'all Trump impersonation? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
what
yeah.
y'all
That
do?
was my Trump impersonation because you know he say things twice. He'd be like, you know, the big beautiful deal. You know, it's beautiful and it's a deal, but it's the big beautiful deal. Like you just said it, like 3
What
times.
I find amazing, and look, I know the very people, see, Trump ran on immigration, right?
Yeah.
That resonated with his base. And then he might mention we're going to do some of these things, but then he lied and said they're not going to touch Medicaid, they're not going to touch Medicare, they're not going to touch Social Security. If you pass this bill, you're going to touch Medicaid and you're going to touch Social Security more indirectly because the revenues are not coming in to fund the Social Security Trust Fund.
Yeah.
So at some point, people are looking at reduced benefits because, you know, the money is just not coming in. Baby boomers.
Yeah.
And I think millennials now, some of them are getting pretty close to retirement. So, you know, it's, and that's why they did it, tried to do it in the dead of night to make sure that this thing passed before, because once they go on break and it's not passed, it's not going to happen. And I think they know that. I know that their constituents and the polling is showing that it's 2-1 against this bill. You know, because people are beginning to realize the long-term ramifications. And Trump and his folks are really smart. They said, you know what? If we don't pass this, you're looking at the largest tax increase. No, what you're talking about now is the rich will be paying more in taxes.
Exactly.
They're the ones who are going to get hit hardest by this,
Exactly.
right? So that's why he's been in arguing this. But then there were other things out there that people beginning to realize, like the and they said Dems are really smart on this piece. They put a lot of green kind of industries in red states, so people financially benefit, you know, from that. The idea that rural hospitals are going to close, that was the one thing that Obama did with the expansion of the Affordable Care Act, that there was money there for rural hospitals, rural dental care. A lot of times we look at it from our perspective in our silo. Get out the race urban piece. Look at it in terms of the rich versus the poor. This is a class issue, right? So he don't care about his base. He's not on the ballot in 2028. He could care less about, because he's lame duck anyway. He could care less about the Republicans losing control, at least of the House. And we don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. But, you know, usually that first midterm election.
Party?
No, he'd care less about them. Care less. But see, that's what happens when people, they pimp your emotions, right? They pimp your fear. They pimp your phobia. Well, that's fear. They pimp your hatreds, right? That whole idea of others. And so then it's okay. You know what? Because they ain't talking about me right now. They talking about them other folks until it's you, until it's me, right? And then reality hits home. So we'll see. You know, not to mention that borrowing is going to impact on interest rates. You know, that's why he wants to get Mr. Powell out as chair of the Fed, because look, he doesn't look at it from a partisan lens. He's looking at it from the impact it's going to have on the economy. Let's say we have another COVID. Would the government be even in position to basically bail out the economy, which it did in 2020 and 2021?
I don't think so. Man.
Right. So there's a lot, and the people who might be sleeping, wake up, everybody.
Yeah.
Stop your sleeping in bed.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a real reality. A lot of a real reality. That would be a reality. I don't know. What is it with that today? And for a lot of people, until it happens, is an abstract.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that it won't happen to them and it won't happen in their lifetime.
Right. Or somebody in your family.
Or somebody in your family. Then you'd be surprised when you look and see your loved one struggling, can't get the care that they need, all because of greed and somebody that's in office.
And after public assistance, food stamps, the majority of people who receive SNAP benefits work.
So they were saying now that they want to put it in the bill that you got to show proof, and then for Medicare or Medicaid, you got to do like 80 hours, and you can go volunteer.
Which is crazy, man.
How you gonna do that?
Right. If you sick, if you're disabled,
how you gonna do it?
How you gonna do it?
So that's the.
But
loophole.
what it does is, and I've learned this in my 25 years of working in public assistance. What you do is you make it so onerous that people won't come and apply.
Exactly.
And if they don't come and apply, there's your budget cut.
And it's nobody's fault but their own because they didn't come and apply.
Right, but then some people don't want to go through the hoops.
They don't want to go through the hoops. They don't want to be on hold for 5-6 hours waiting. And I think they purposely do this stuff so people can give up.
Well, Doge, when he Musk went in and they cut for the veterans the crisis hotline.
Right. Why would you do that?
Because you don't care.
Because you don't care and you want people to give up.
Right. But let Trump tell it. He loved the vets.
Yeah, Trump also said that Vice President Harris was going to get us into a war. She was going to cause World War III. And this guy, drop a bomb on Iran.
And then, because there was a miscalculation, and you have to give the Iranians credit because they built the underground bunker so deep that bunker buster wouldn't even get close to it. So they did stuff to the surface, and people believe they moved the uranium.
Anyway. I think they got word, man. They got tipped.
Yeah, I think they did. I might do something in 2 weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like when they did their retaliation, the Iranians, they said, look, we're going to be sending some missiles in the cutter. You might want to be aware of that. So then everybody was prepared, and they just did it. Was more symbolic, because the last thing they want to do is have the U.S. government on their behind. So just do enough to save face, right? So anyway.
Yeah, that was stupid for him to say, well, I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to make my decision.
Well, everybody knew what he was going to do.
Because if you say that to me, to somebody that's smart, let's start moving this stuff right now because he might hit at any point in time. So let's start moving this stuff.
Okay. All right. You're listening to Community Voice. At the bottom of the hour, we'll be inside. What is with me this morning? We'll be inside. Be healthy. Be you. On Bobby Bonilla Day all over the country. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
AURN News. I'm Jamie Jackson. Few Americans say they're proud of their country, and it's now the lowest level Gallup has recorded in more than 2 decades. According to a new survey, just 58% of U.S. adults say they are extremely or very proud to be American. That's down 9 points from 2024 and 5 points lower than in 2020. The poll has tracked national pride since 2001. Back then, 87% of Americans expressed strong pride. After the September 11th attacks, that number surged to 90% and stayed high through 2004. But this year's numbers show growing divides, especially along party lines. In fact, Republicans reported the highest level of pride at 92%, Democrats dropped sharply to 36%, and independents hit a new low at 53%. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly clear, low near 65. By Wednesday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, high around 85. Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers and storms late. Blend of clouds and sun, high around 83. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860 The Voice.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a one
There were some students who would start taking courses at MATC. I had a friend in college. She went to Hood College in Frederick, Maryland, and she was in DC. And she went to, it was called School Without Walls. And basically, what it was she would take classes at American University, George Washington, Howard. And it wasn't advanced placement, but she's already getting this whole college thing already. And I got close to being put in a special class. Well, not the special classes you were taking, Anthony. It was wow. I think but when you I think that the whole idea of STEM and the importance of science and technology and math is wow. Because if you want to be a doctor, obviously, you want to be able to do this. So welcome, man.
He's with Milwaukee AHEC, and that's a excellent organization in our community that helps a lot of young people. And we've always had, and they started the community health worker program, and it's a lot of things that AHEC has done to help promote health education and our young people, giving them a lot of grants. And
let me shout out the good folks there at the New Pitch Mortuary. Just
I was going to tell you about that.
Yeah, Nate's not driving because they hit that corner too fast. But anyway, let me shout it out.
Yeah, check on your car key.
I know when Nate's driving because they just get right to this corner about 2.5 miles an hour. But shout out to the good folks there at the New Pitch Mortuary. Huh?
The coffin.
Oh, Batesville Coffin. We have not seen Batesville Coffin. Yeah. Anyway, all right. It's summertime.
Yeah.
And the trees.
Summertime.
For real. You don't have air. It's not nice.
Yeah. I don't know how I grew up without it.
We did though, didn't we?
Just hot.
Well, our bodies were accustomed to it too.
Yeah.
It still is. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people didn't do well. A lot of the older people probably. My mother even, she didn't like fans on her. Air conditioning was the devil. So
she wasn't half wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what it does to my sinuses and but how do you get that balance? Because it is hot. You know what I mean?
And muggy, really.
But
really
what's
muggy.
interesting, and we do it every year. I'm sorry, we do it every year. In the wintertime.
We be wishing for this.
Oh, yeah, we be wishing for the heat. Then when the heat get here, Lord, it's just too hot. Take it away. It's just too hot. We used to be burning up in church. They used to say, hell is a whole lot hotter than this. I don't know. It's pretty hot up in this bad boy.
Oh, and sitting on those benches.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah,
and Miss Walden, before we had those big clear windows, the stained glass there now. So, and we would have these afternoon programs, and that sun's coming from the west, and oh man, it was hot. But you know what? No, we weren't built differently. But I mean, I look at young folks, they're out in fleece, and it's 90 degrees, and I'm like,
down at Juneteenth Day, that one lady had on a full sweatsuit, and it was hot that day.
Psychotropics.
Yeah, okay. Psychotropics. That's a new one.
That is a new one.
Some of that is mental illness, though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
There's probably something going on where you don't even know that. But there are people though who, because of the
medications,
right,
yes, they don't sweat.
They don't sweat,
and so they should really not be out.
When we were in Panama, they were building, the Chinese. They were building a road, and they pointed out that the men could only work about a half an hour, and then they'd have to take a break. But you know, and a lot of times people say we got all those clothes on, but a lot of times that's almost like insulation. I didn't
Mhm.
understand why my uncle used to put on like long johns when he went and worked in the field, but they said it's insulation that keeps pretty much the cool in the no.
I don't know nothing about that. But if you got long johns on, I don't know. In the field,
I don't know, keep you from itching with all that corn and whatever you're working with. Some of those,
Man,
the corn is the worst. Picking corn, that's no joke. You got to be covered, or you're
chopping
going to be.
cotton
Yeah.
ain't no
Oh yeah,
joke.
that ain't no joke either.
One day. One day.
One day
That's all
you
it
gave
took.
that up, huh?
And my mom always says, boy, stop lying. I said, Mama, in that day, in that field, I made up my mind. I was going to college.
You, it's like I ain't picking no cotton.
I ain't gonna work for a living. I'm going to college. I remember I had this little baseball cap on. They going, what's that gonna do? That's woo. And let me tell you, I don't know if anybody knows what chopping cotton. I'm sure a lot of our listeners know what chopping cotton is. You're clearing the weeds away from the cotton plant so it doesn't choke the plant. So you have a hoe. And I didn't really, and that was tough enough. And that's probably, I want to say maybe 4 feet, 3 feet. So and that's what you do. You just clear it away. You work, and it's called a row. You work your way down the row, and you can't even see the end of the row. The reason why I ended up doing it was my cousin, he said, Keith, you want to meet some girls?
Yeah.
Am I 14? Yeah. I met him on the truck. I didn't see him after that because they was getting up the row. And I worked these little summer jobs here where we got, minimum wage. We did pretty well for kids. You made $7 for the whole day.
For the day down south.
And they pay you at lunchtime. And then they take you to this little place where you can go, I'm from the city, man. I had a city lunch. For my cousins, they're earning that money so they can have school clothes. Not for me. Man, I ate so much food. I must have ate 4 of the
Nobody else. Somebody else was missing some food.
Everybody else was eating. They get a little slice of bologna, some saltine crackers. Everybody cost them 30 cents.
Keith used his $7.
I'm a baller. One day in the field, one day changed my life. Changed my life. Oh Lord. So yeah, so you do it now. I thought that was hard. Farm workers in California that do the same thing, right? They clear the weeds from the cabbage and the lettuce. They do something called a short hoe, which is half the size. So that means they're
mending, yeah.
And for many years until the Farm Workers Union came along, they didn't even have a place where they could use the bathroom, right? So if you go out to California now, go to the Salinas Valley, you see people out there. But man, so when people are saying that there are jobs that Americans don't want to work,
those yeah,
those
there's
are
lots
jobs,
of them.
man. Those folks, man, in the sun, bent. So, we got to have a level of appreciation for those people who get out there to make sure we can have lettuce or, all our vegetables, because these are people getting out there doing it. Americans just don't feel like they should be out there doing it. So they don't.
Because didn't they made a hero out of that insect that was eating up the
beetle,
the cotton.
The boll weevil.
Boll weevil. They made songs. They made statues. They like, thank you.
Yes. Well, I think the other thing now you have where you have we have insecticide.
Keith is looking at out the window.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let me shout again the good folks in the Nubis Mortuary. I think that's Nate. Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. Let me shout them out again. Yeah, but now, you can kill the weeds, right? And now you have something called the combine for picking. So technology now has eliminated the need for people to actually get out there. Because, I'm going to just tell you just how unmerciful it was. You had to wait. They pick you up like Jesse Jackson used to say, can't see in the morning. But you had to wait until the cotton dried before you could pick it, because if the cotton hadn't, it was a little moist, so you get paid by the poundage.
They ain't paying any extra for wet cotton.
Not for wet cotton. Yep. But it is summertime.
So do they still have cotton?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I think we import a lot of cotton now. I think that was it when they came to the New World, and what they discovered. There was a couple of things. America is really unique because I don't think there's any country in the world that has the diversity of climates that we have in this little stretch that we call the United States of America. Everything from arid to subtropical, right? You almost have perfect weather in San Diego.
Yes.
You got deserts. So there's a lot, and then people fit, like you can grow wheat up here, certain kind of things you can grow up here that and one of the reasons, I know we got to talk about this. I'm sorry. Man.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry. He's fine.
He's fine. Okay.
They didn't have heat strokes.
We tend to have.
They didn't have heat strokes. I'm sure
I'm sure they had plenty of them.
I'm sure they did. Just move them out, keep the road moving, right? Yeah. I'm sure they did.
Well, and they retired earlier in the day too.
Yeah.
They were up early in the morning and retired during the hottest part of the day.
Well, if you go to Key West in the summertime, everything is closed between 2 and 5. It's just too hot. My godson he's my lawn guy. They was talking about cutting grass last night. I'm like, dude, it's really too hot. But I could remember, and this is a health issue, that we would be practicing football in full equipment, 90 degrees, humid, no water, because that made you tough.
Because you were a man.
Yeah. Dead man.
Right.
So the number of high school and college students who were having heat strokes because they were out there and all that equipment, not hydrated. They give you salt tablets.
Right.
But if you're not really hydrated, it doesn't
really help. And then there's, you look at that umpire that died last week. Was it softball? And so he was out there. It was really hot. And they're saying they should have called the game, but they didn't. And he died. He collapsed on the field. And, they said with the kids, your kids are going in and out. They're sitting down. They're hydrating. That umpire's out there the whole time. And it was in the upper 90s. They should have not been playing. There's a time when we have to stop.
It's too hot.
Yes.
Well, I know because I was asking Frankie, he said a couple of times when he was still playing high school football, they canceled practice because of the heat. Something that was unthinkable when I was coming along. You just get out there in it, you make you a man. And it was like, no. And I think that even now with your kids out playing, I think this is a health tip. And I'm gonna tell you, kids are smart. Kids, we don't give them credit for being as smart as they are. When I worked at Our Avenue Playground, now you got to remember that's asphalt. So if it's 90 degrees, that asphalt is 100, 105, right? Especially
no shade on
no shade. And so kids were smart. I knew when it was hot because when nobody at the playground. It'd be now my goddaughter who last week it was hot. I'm going like, Kennedy, I don't know if you should be outside. She said, I need nature. I need nature.
Sit and look out the window.
You watch that nature. You don't want to be out in that nature. But I think making sure that the kids are hydrated.
Yes.
A lot of times, and then avoiding things like soda. Where
anything with caffeine, sugar,
because
back on
the number of people who succumb to heat and heat strokes 30 years ago, we had a heat wave here, and there's a documentary, I think it's Chicago Burning, and it talks about over 700 people that they accounted for died from the heat that summer.
Sure,
it was so hot. We lived on the second floor flat with no air conditioner. So we moved into the Astor Hotel for 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you get to that point where you're having heat stroke, you're not even sweating anymore. Your body temperature's high, you're not sweating. Those are signs. If you have any of that, you need to get to the emergency room. If it's heat exhaustion, you're going to have a higher temp, but you're still sweating. You can get in fluids. You still need to go back inside in a cool place and drink. But when you hit that late stage, even drinking fluids isn't really going to help you. You need to be in the hospital.
Went to the Packers. Was it the Packers? I'm thinking it was the Packers. We went to a Dolphin game in Miami. And so, hey, man, I go to a football game. I go to a basketball game. I'll have a beer. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. Bad idea. I was on that lemon ice. It was, man, and the sun is, but and that's the whole thing. I'm trying to balance between, obviously, I need a tan, right? Because I don't.
Well, you can still get put on, sunscreen. You still might get tan, but it'll block most of those harmful rays.
Yeah.
Why you need a tan?
Isn't it the vitamin C, vitamin D?
Oh, the vitamin D. Yeah, about 20. You only need about 20 minutes a day for exposure to the sun to get your needed amount of vitamin D.
What? I can't.
You got a tan.
I got a tan.
You got a tan. That's a song. You got a tan. You got a tan.
Let's talk about sunburn, and I think that's a great segue. True or false? The darker the complexion, the less likely I am to be sunburned. True or false?
False.
Why is that false?
Because we burn too.
Right. I mean, and a lot of people think we might, because of the melanin, it may take us a little bit longer or more intense, but we still need to protect that skin because especially your first time out, if you're in intense sun, you can burn. And with that, you can get blistering and, a lot of pain. Plus, even if you don't feel a burn, the damage from that sun is still being done to your skin.
True or false? For sunburns, you should apply petroleum jelly.
No, not butter either. No butter, no Vaseline. That just heats it up.
Olive oil?
No, no.
Back in the day,
they used olive oil to tan.
Used to do that.
Before they knew better.
But no.
Nope.
Hey Jay, what's that sizzling I'm hearing? You frying? You walk in the room and you sizzling. They try to figure out why you sizzling. Like, man, I think it was the olive oil you put on.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah, I had, and I know I've been sunburned a couple of times. And
working in the parks,
obviously you can see here where I'm peeling, so that's from driving. But that summer, man, my mother said, put some Vaseline on.
That's what they did. You started burning even more, hurting a lot more. Vaseline and butter, those were the go-tos. And every black home had at least one big jar of Vaseline in it. Your face, your legs, your hair. It was used for everything.
Well, whoever thought you'd have something useless.
Right.
We at one point we get a lot of nurses from the Philippines.
Yes.
And this Filipino comedian was talking about his mother. And he said his mother, the answer to everything was Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yeah, I kind of that and alcohol. I think that back in the day that was
alcohol.
Alcohol and Vicks
alcohol?
Vapor. No.
All right. We're inside. Be Healthy, Be You, Miss Julia Means, Mr. Anthony Ricardo, Miss Brenda Buchanan. We're talking about just summer safety. We started off talking about heat, and we'll get into some other things that we should look out for in order to keep us safe for the summer. We'll be right back.
healthy, be you. With your host, Keith Parris, Brenda Buchanan, and Julia Means on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
What about Anthony?
Hey, everybody mic is on. Debo, your mic on.
Good job.
We all out the bed.
Hey, man, everybody get up.
Right. Yeah, we all
It's
are.
nice to see you looking healthy.
Well, well, woman.
Here comes Sop.
I'm feeling real jubilant, real good. It's a Tuesday, the sun is shining, and we got 4 days this week.
Oh, yeah.
So we is off on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember
with his arm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I couldn't move at first, but then the good Lord, hallelujah, touched me.
Okay.
And he went to see his
Now
doctor.
I'm white as snow. Amen.
All righty then. There you go.
Still can't move my arm.
Right.
That's white as snow.
I just hanging
I'm
low.
white as snow.
Still can't walk, but yeah, we would be. That's interesting because you all have become. I know certainly. And Keon just had a birthday.
Yes.
He rest in peace and whatever he's doing up there messing with people. That his birthday was Saturday, but it was always sitting here and you all just doing poor little Keon. So Jermaine maybe it's the seat, man.
Yeah, man, it's something about this chair, man, because I think Keon is in heaven right now trying to feed Jesus and all of the angels. He got
some
a table.
Of that food he had in the freezer
some of that
back
food.
there.
Yeah,
Right.
he done sent for it and got a table laid out in heaven.
That food in the freezer.
He had
don't have a stove.
when you in heaven, you need a stove. You just, voila, it's gonna cook itself. Man, that's terrible.
I know you have been messing with somebody. I know he is. He can't help it.
Keon.
He can't help it, Lord. But anyway, so Saturday was his birthday. So but really take care of your skin. One of the things that.
So what are you using? I heard you say what not to use.
Yeah, what would you?
On a burn?
Not on a burn.
No, just sunburn, and is what you were talking
If
about.
you had a sunburn, if it's really bad, it's probably going to blister. So cool water, not cold water, cool compress maybe, and just try to cool it down a little bit. Other than that, there's really some people take Tylenol or ibuprofen if it's really painful. Don't pop the blisters. If they pop, they're probably going to on their own at some point.
Topical ointment
but
or
don't.
anything that's
Because then that puts you at risk. No, not really. Just keep it clean and dry.
I had scalded myself, and my aunt took some baking soda. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, what she did was she put some baking soda on, added blister, and then she took hot needle and took the skin off.
No, when you remove that skin, you open yourself up to infection. So that's why even with a blister, we don't want to pop it. Hopefully it'll absorb or it'll pop on its own, because then you put yourself at risk for infection. That skin is our protector. And anytime we remove it or it's removed that way, that's why when it starts to get dead skin, it starts peeling off. And then you have some nice new skin under there. But when you pop those blisters right away or it comes up, then you don't have that protectant.
I was going to ask, so how often are we regenerating new skin cells as we shed, right?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround that we're always producing new skin cells. So that's why when we get ashy, those are all dead skin cells coming off.
What about when you dead?
When you dead, don't get me started. When you dead, you don't have a heartbeat anymore.
Can I get the medical professionals here? So when you're dead, what are you?
Here we go.
You're dead.
Here we go.
And you have no heartbeat anymore.
Here we go.
Yes.
The heart don't beat either.
So
the heart doesn't beat either.
So who just opened up this rabbit hole?
No,
Debo.
no.
Yeah.
She was saying I don't even know how we ended up here, but okay.
Yeah, the Mr. Garbage.
You said, do we reproduce skin when we're dead? See, you started.
Yeah,
Right,
you
right.
started it.
Right.
We don't
So,
do any
Your hair
reproduction when we
grows.
dead.
No.
Right? We
Doesn't the hair
decompose.
follicle
No,
still grow?
everything is dead.
No,
when
once
dead,
you
bro.
because you're not getting any nutrition or oxygen to all of those, which is maybe when you start to shrivel up, it looks like your hair is longer, but you don't actually.
When you start to shrivel up.
You don't really start growing.
if you growing while you dead, it's shriveling up and growing while you dead. What is going on?
Afro, where you shrivel, dude?
Yeah, wait a minute. So you go in the ground bald headed.
People have said that like the hair still grows.
No, because
So-
it's not getting any nutrients
Can
to
you
grow.
imagine person dying? You knew they was bald headed when they died, but you show up at the funeral and they got a whole afro just laying there.
Come on, Jermaine.
It's a wig. Carla, welcome to the program. It's a wig.
If I couldn't grow hair
Hey,
while I was
scared of
alive,
no
I would
ghost.
not have-
Carla, welcome to the program.
Don't bring no freaking ghost.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Turn your radio down, man.
Okay.
All right.
That guy sound like he on the horse, don't he?
Hey, you funny.
Hey, man, your radio. You got to turn your radio and take us off speaker.
Oh, okay. What do? I'm gonna turn it off. Turn off my phone.
Let me walk you through it.
Ear.
Turn your radio down.
Where's my ear? How's that?
No, you got your windows up, man. Take us off speaker,
Hello?
man. Yeah, take us off speaker.
You got me now?
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Speaker.
Hello.
Man, this cat on a CB, man.
You just had a 20-minute conversation with Jermaine. We get you on the air. We can't hear you.
You got me now?
There you go. There you go. All right.
What's up, man? How are you?
Better.
We can't do no worse.
Yeah, oh
Oh,
yeah.
I think we
dead.
Oh,
You could be dead and talk.
Dead.
And not have no heartbeat.
Right. And your hair don't grow.
Growing hair. Leave it up to deep.
Stop it. Hey, Keith, what you think about my selection Sunday?
Huh?
What you think about my selection Sunday?
He said, "What did you think about his
What
selection?"
you think my selections of songs Sunday?
His
I had nobody to rehearsal, so I had to do what I had to do.
But you're always good at what you do, bro.
I started asking the church to stand up, man. So
Okay.
so
We should be having this conversation. Do you have any questions about health?
yeah.
This is Sunday
I've been told
service.
I got brain damage.
Has he been
I've
down
been
to
told I got
A&J?
brain damage.
Yeah,
What you
man.
think?
I think he been to A&J this morning.
Hey, yeah, Doc. He's been down the street to A&J.
So what's on your mind, man? We talked about summertime, sunburns, drownings,
Sunflower
fireworks.
Drinking?
Do you say drinking?
Yeah, during the summertime.
Yeah. Well, I'll let the health
Well,
professionals respond
drinking
to that.
alcohol is not a good idea in the heat. Just dehydrates you and puts you at greater risk for heat stroke.
It make you silly.
I understand what you're saying. Hey, check this out, dude. Stop that. Y'all stop that. Not stop that.
About other things.
Right.
It makes you fall into fire pits and
All right,
that.
Chris. Hey, man, be safe out there, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it does. You
And
know,
those are
people
things that we should be talking about with the
drink
4th coming up.
Right.
They
It,
do.
it,
There's going to be some
really
medical
stupid
emergencies
things.
on the 4th.
yeah,
Oh,
we,
yeah, it's supposed to be
we get
90.
people into the burn unit around the holidays,
Yeah.
fire
Fire.
pits, people are drinking, they
fall
fall
in
into
the
them,
fire pit?
fall
Let
into
alone
the grill.
fireworks.
jump over. They
Yeah,
gonna
oh yeah,
over it.
jump over it and miss.
Jack and Jill went up the hill.
What happened to you?
Yeah.
I tried to jump over the fire pit
Yeah.
and I didn't make it.
Yes.
Obviously.
Believe it or not, that's fairly common.
That didn't go right.
And I got burnt where the good Lord split me.
Falling into the grill.
I got
Go
burnt.
right. You didn't go right.
I got burnt where the good Lord split me. Amen.
That ain't what I had planned, though. See, I had worked it out in my mind.
But what I gotta,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I gotta do,
You was
'cause I
gonna
know
just jump over.
I gotta learn to use utensils when I'm cooking, because I'll take the meat off with my hand, which is not a good idea. You know, I'm moving it around, and we've invested in a whole lot of good grilling utensils.
They're long for a purpose.
For a purpose.
Right, exactly. Right.
Right. You get that little fork.
Yes.
And you get a flare up,
And please do not throw gas or lighter fluid on something that's already burning, because it's going to flash back in your face. We don't want that. We get
that's why that did
we
that.
get lots of burns on the hands and on the face. Yes, that's why they did that.
Yeah, because
That's
I
what
see
happened.
a lot of
Debo.
people that light they grill and they light the charcoal, and then the fire is burning, but then they step back and they
Yes, just let it be.
like Zorro,
It'll heat
and
up.
then it's, whoo.
well, if you're using just regular briquettes, I use the
chips.
I use the fire. Was it match light?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It already has lighter fluid in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But even if you do, they suggest that you soak your coals about 20 minutes in the lighter fluid,
And then light them.
And then
They'll just do a slow burn, but they will. Or I use one of those chimneys.
That's
So
what I
you just
use.
you just put all the
And then
in
I
there,
don't use
put
lighter
some
fluid.
paper on the bottom, and you light the plate paper, and it just, so you don't use any lighter fluid at all.
So
and
I
it
use
heats
wood
up
chips.
really quickly.
Very
Those
good.
coals get hot real quick.
And for me, it's I don't like the chemical.
Yeah, and the
that
taste.
on the
Sometimes
food,
people
you
put you taste it in the
like
food.
lighter
I've gone by
fluid.
people's house, man. I call it gasicue.
Yeah, doctor, you
Yeah,
bite
I
into
don't
that
want that
burger, it
gas
tastes like kerosene.
Like
and-
they didn't wait to let the fluid burn off, or they
Right.
squirted it right over the meat.
Yeah, right over the
Get
meat.
fire up
Exactly.
again.
No,
Yeah,
I've seen
I've seen
people.
people do that.
I've seen people actually squirt it over the rack, so it's like you got the
Yes.
rack there,
Which
and
is-
it's like no, because they used to say that if you want to clean it, you can burn off
you
the
heat it.
Mhm.
you heat it and burn it off. But then as it's burning off, they take the lighter fluid, squirt it in there, so it's on the
Grills.
it's on the grill,
Also,
so that you got to put your
that
meat on.
grease will ignite.
Yeah, so it's
if
just
there's grease on there, yeah.
crazy,
And
man.
sometimes people throw things into the garbage can, a plastic garbage can,
Yeah, that's still
and
lit.
the hot stuff, and then poof,
Right.
got a fire.
You know, and if your grill like mine, if you close the vents and leave it, is going to cool off pretty quickly. But like a fire pit, or if you don't have a grill that cools off, you should always have a water source available. The fire pit, I hose it down before, if it's at night, before I go to bed.
Yeah.
You don't want to let it keep burning.
Yeah, 'cause
It
some
is
people let
sizzling.
it burn.
Right. Yeah.
Let it
And
burn
that's
out.
not
Can
a good.
prevent forest fires.
Yes. And house fires. Having it too close to the house.
You know what? I was I thought in my mom's place, I thought these things were like the outlets, because she doesn't have other than one overhead light.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the things were where you would, you can pull it down and then you can.
Oh yeah. Was it sprinkler?
It was sprinkler heat sensor, and then they said that you don't put smoke detectors in kitchens.
Right, because they're going to go off.
They're going to go off constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't, just because of the.
Then you take the battery out.
Yeah, you
don't
take the
wanna-
battery and
Yeah.
you forget to put it back in. Yeah.
And you should keep a fire extinguisher in your kitchen under the cupboard or something like that.
All right. Oh, got a caller. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. You guys kill me about the people that spray the lighter fluid over the grill rack. You killing me with that, because I remember back in the day, I'm to the point, if I'm not cooking it, or my brother or somebody I know who know how to cook, I'm not eating your food. I might taste it, but if no. I've been invited to barbecue, and I'm like, oh my God, how can you dare?
Mm-hmm.
When you do you marinate your ribs?
Nope.
Okay, so you don't do any kind of.
I might season them. Sometime I do, and it depends how I feel.
There was a place I went to. The barbecue wasn't bad, and I don't know and my mom used to kind of also do this. There are a lot of people who do vinegar base, you know, like sauce.
The water and well, we always do that for basting.
I don't like that vinegar.
Gets real tight. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, just plain
tangy.
vinegar. You gotta mix it with water.
But it acts.
There you go. That's what I did.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, it's more.
Yep.
More to tenderize the meat. It's not necessarily the flavor.
Okay.
Right. Is what it does is loosen up the pork.
I'm sorry, brother. Or the beef.
Or the beef.
Or whatever. Whatever you cook it.
Whatever on the grill, right? But no, I think
Yep.
you can. Well, if you slow cook them, then you know
They're gonna be
See, now you're getting
anyway.
into theories and philosophies because now you're talking about a indirect heat versus direct heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also I've been to. I ain't gonna call no names because they may be listening, but if you don't pull that back film off,
Yes,
there you go.
I don't want
the inner film. You mean, Debo?
Yeah,
the
you
inner
gotta
side,
pull it
the
off or
skin.
buy it from a place that
if you go
prepares
to
it that is taking it off.
Butchers take them off.
Yeah.
Butchers take them off. But because you're getting such a deal,
Yeah, you gotta do that yourself.
They just cutting it. You know, they just gonna cut your, you know what you're doing. But a real good butcher, that's coming off. That's not even on the back there. You know, and I do some from time to time use a butcher.
And it takes some work to get that off too.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
bit.
So I never buy it like that cheap. I don't care how cheap it is. I'm gonna go to my favorite butcher.
Now, first
and get
off, for me, I will never skimp on my meat because I think old guy told me, he said, good ain't cheap and cheap ain't good. Make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Well, since I got older, I changed over because I got tired of all that work. I just buy me some pork shoulder and be done with it. At least I need some meat.
So
I can cook it and season it up real good and put it on the grill and slice it up.
So
And it's
when I
not
was
gonna have
living,
as
all
much
that
fat
full of
either.
steam.
yeah. So when I was living in North Carolina, I went to this barbecue over there.
Barbecues.
Yeah, well, it was actually crazy because they had a whole pig over the roast and they was roasting it, but then they had barbecue frog legs. I didn't try them because I'm like, that's nasty.
People
That
love
sound-
frog
that sound
legs.
good.
People love
Really?
frog
In
legs.
general are
They
good.
say they taste like chicken.
Yeah,
What is it called in
I
France?
believe you.
That's
let
not
you find
patty.
I'm cool.
I don't know if Rhonda's listening.
It
What
was a nurse on. Go ahead, Keith. Excuse me.
No, I'm just going to do this and go on, and you can ask. Rhonda, what is the French term that they use for frog legs? I can Google it myself.
Yeah, because I went to that barbecue and I'm looking, I'm like, they
Oh,
got
Jimmy
like
Swagger
whole
guy.
pigs on the they roasted with the apple in the pig mouth, and I'm like, wow, because that's all new for me. 'Cause
Oh,
Yeah.
you've never been to a pig roast?
no, I've never been. You know, I'm from the city, so when I
Okay.
moved to North Carolina, and I'm looking at all this, I'm like, man, this is different.
You go to
man.
Puerto
Like, they
Rico,
had
man.
alligators, and
Mhm.
I'm like, ugh, like man, just give me a piece of chicken.
If you don't recognize it, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Tastes like chicken.
Possum.
That's what they say.
No, it
man,
tastes
they was
like
barbecuing
rabbit.
possums.
Call anything else for the nurses? No.
Still there?
Yeah, but I said the nurse was there, and here we are talking about all this good fat in this food.
Well, I was going to ask a question from in terms of the making sure that the meat is done. So it does depend on the type of meat you're eating, right?
The type of meat, how thick it is, how much marbling is in it. You know, they always encourage people to use thermometers, you know, that you can pop in the meat while it's cooking and see if it's reached the appropriate temperature.
So what about something like a real good steak?
hmm
I don't know, a lot of people like to.
They should still reach a particular temperature, even if they're more rare.
Right.
You know, they have degrees of where it should be, but yeah, I don't have to worry about
necessarily to eat a rare steak, right?
Well, it could be. I mean, if you're going to eat a rare steak, I think you want to make sure it's good quality meat.
Right. Okay.
But any kind of undercooked food, you know, especially meat, could put you at risk for something. So microorganisms.
True or false? You cannot leave potato salad out.
No, you cannot.
You certainly shouldn't. I went to somewhere this weekend, and that potato salad was outside for 5 hours.
Now, so
And you didn't taste any. Because it's eggs.
And it's like mayonnaise.
So it's because of the
too.
eggs. What? The mayonnaise is an issue?
Well, yeah, mayonnaise.
Eggs
you
in
can't
it.
heat up the mayonnaise, because if you heat up the mayonnaise, then you can get food poisoning from that.
Okay, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then foodborne, those foodborne viruses.
Yeah.
Where we're sharing, and okay.
All
right,
so
man.
should maybe put out some of it, a smaller bowl, and then
or keep it chilled.
Yeah, and then put more out if needed instead of putting the whole big old thing out, because then you put yourself at risk. So.
All right, caller. Appreciate your caller. Welcome to the program.
Hey, yeah, you ever soak your meat in alcohol?
Pause. Yeah, like a wine or.
No, I'm talking about beer and liquor.
Yeah, like
some people use brandy.
Yeah.
I will use wine as part of the base. That I will use to just kind of make sure it doesn't dry out. Sherry.
And the alcohol it burns off during the cooking process, so there's no actual, that part is gone. That's going to affect you.
Oh no, I don't know, because I had went to this party one time and we cooked our chicken in Hennessy. They had soaked it in Hennessy and cooked it, and I don't know what it was, but I wasn't walking straight. So if it burnt off, it was
should
burn
off.
the
Alcohol should burn off. I mean, the taste, the flavor remains, but the alcohol burns off. But I don't know what else were you having at that party. If they cook the meat in Hennessy, they probably have something else there.
But there are people who are doing infused.
Yes,
where they're infusing the meat. I do a beer can chicken.
Oh, that's delicious.
And you don't have to use.
Yep. Hey, was your wine red or white?
It really depends on the meat.
And I'm not, okay. Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean, because some people, Rhonda made she made a base one time, and we had got a whole case of ribs. My buddy had a big old thing, and it was so good. And so I called her and I said, "Well, we ran out." She gave us the recipe, so we used. He had sherry and he had sangria. I said, "Well, we'll cook with the sherry, but we're gonna drink the sangria." Right. And then he used beer. That was the thing. A
lot of people.
But I boil my brats
in beer.
Which is, and you don't.
That's a Wisconsin thing. That's a big Wisconsin thing.
Yeah, and then just brown them on the grill. I got this thing about people burning food, though. I don't think that's healthy.
It's not. More carcinogens when it's burnt, but I'll be honest with you, I like a little char. But it's not something you should be eating on a regular basis.
Let's talk about hold on, man. It turned into a cooking show.
Where's the utensil?
But we don't think about that a lot in terms of, I always worry when I cook for people that I'm going to poison them. I do.
You worry, or should they be worried?
Well, if he's worried, maybe they should be
I guess I put
worried.
it out here publicly. I guess that next time I cook some, people go be, you sure?
Not just take my plate to
There
go.
was this woman who was praying at Easter. We just got from church. We hungry, and she decided to have prayer meeting. And then she said, "Lord, make sure the food is not poison." We're looking at each other going like, "Man, we're already hungry. Now they poisoned us with the food."
I won't have none of that.
I just lost my appetite. Yeah. But we don't talk a lot about how many people actually get sick.
Oh, a lot of food poisoning.
A lot of food poisoning. So we should really be mindful that you store the food properly when you're out. Make sure it's covered. I don't know what's going to happen with insects now because it's been so hot, so dry. But
they've been heating up. I've been bit a couple times, which is unusual. So in my yard, because I spray. But I do have to tell you a funny story about food poisoning. I will not use any locations or specific names. We were at an event, and so it was our team. We were at an event, and we were feeling, a couple of us weren't feeling so great when we left. So I was in the bathroom and I'm hearing ladies talking. I think I had too much coffee. That's it. And I'm thinking, it's kind of in the back of my head. So I'm on the way home and I called Julia. Oh, I used a name, but Julia was not feeling her best either. She was on her way home. And so I called everybody on our team, and there were some people that didn't get sick. And so it was like, okay, so it's not the meat, it's something else. So there was a variety of cupcakes. There was 2 different types of cupcakes. Everybody that ate the chocolate cupcake with cream cheese frosting had some major issues.
Oh.
Yes.
So it was the cupcakes.
Yes, it was the cream cheese frosting, which is known to can, if it's out too long, carry a certain type of bacteria that happens quickly, because most food poisoning doesn't happen that quick.
Yeah.
But with that type, yeah. So it
now,
was.
I remember Debo telling the story about folks at church.
You don't have to use the church's name.
No, yeah,
but I do want to hear about it.
And the address. Caller, welcome to the program.
And the address, so we don't go.
I don't need the name. Just give me the address. I'll figure the rest out. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning,
everybody. I was just checking because what would be the best way to cook your food? I know a lot of people like to use charcoal. Do they use wood? And I think Miss Means mentioned how she cooks her food on the grill, like the ribs and stuff, because I went by somebody's house for the holiday, and this is every time they have a cookout, the food tastes just like the charcoal, which I just didn't eat it. I decided I don't eat a lot of meat anymore. And I'm going somewhere this weekend, but I'm going to carry my donation is a big thing of fresh vegetables, and I'll have it sitting on ice, but I won't have anything with mayonnaise or potato salad in there at all, and anything with chicken. Because people don't know how to, you can tell people, well, make sure you do this, but they need to look at that and teach them to put ice or keep it in a cool place or put ice and sit it out and bring more potatoes out later. But how about you cook your ribs? Because charcoal is really not good for us and cause cancer. And I know we like that charcoal, but what about the wood or another way of cooking?
Indirect heat.
Oh, they do?
Indirect heat, yeah. And you can do ice soaked wood chips, which gives you a nice little smoke. If you want to,
is that healthier for you?
Well, it's wood. It's wood.
It's really the charring of the food in that is the most dangerous. Yeah.
What about the charcoal and a lighter fluid?
Well, we were just, talking about that. I don't use lighter fluid. Some people overuse it, which is then, you kind of get the taste of that in the food. I use one of the chimney. It's like a metal thing, and it's got holes in it, and you pile the coals in it, and underneath you stick newspaper in there. Then you light the newspaper. It's called a chimney.
Oh, chimney. Okay.
Yeah. And then you just light the paper, and it just, the way it's built, then the coals catch on fire, and takes about 15 minutes before, when you say Debo, and they're totally ready to go.
Maybe I can try that one out on the wood that Keith talked about.
Well, let me tell you this. My son-in-law used to tell me, man, I can't eat barbecue. I said, man, I thought I couldn't either. And it was because what I found that with the acid reflux and GERD that I was experiencing, certain things would trigger it. And charcoal, lighter fluid was one of them. It would give me this just bad gas and so forth. And once I started using the chimney, and he tasted my ribs, and he now is able to eat it because he stays away from that chemical. I don't trust that. I never use it anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, I'm glad you guys said that. I'm going to try the chimney and the wood.
Yeah,
because
the charcoal.
I'll bake mine in the oven first. I know I like the charcoal, but I'm trying to eat a little better, and I don't eat a lot of pork. But at the holiday time, I'll try a little bit of it out. And,
if you want the smoke, and there's a little thing, you can get a canister where you can actually put the pellets in, and you get the smoke. Let me, again, we're talking about fire safety. When you talk about pits,
don't forget liquid smoke too, because that'll give you the smoke flavor.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when I worked at summer camp, we used to get kids from Waukesha County, and these kids were part of social services in Waukesha County. They were supposed to send their jacket letting you know what the kid is dealing with. So I had this one kid, he would always lance let me build the fire.
A little pyro.
Lance, let me build the fire. I'm going like, dude, there's safety issues. You're under 16.
Right.
But he just kept. So one is at the end. Appreciate you, Kath. We're at the end of the session. I don't care, man. Build the fire.
Mm.
This dude didn't build a fire. He built an inferno.
And he probably loved everything.
And he was just sitting there because whenever I build a fire, he'd just be standing there staring at it. Then I get his jacket once he's gone, saying, "Oh yeah, don't let him around fire." This dude, like when in India, when they do the funeral pyre, that's what it looked like. That was just like he and then there's a huge, we call it the lodge, right?
Yeah, you worry about that.
That lodge was so hot, man. And he's just something, he just built the whole thing, man. I was like, oh, and you're a pyromaniac.
He was probably sitting around in like Beavis and Butthead, like fire.
So be careful because there are a lot of fire burns. I didn't know about this jumping over fire pits, man. Y'all really had to be
tripping over them, jumping over them.
Really, you shouldn't be barbecuing on. You know how people live in apartments and they have
on the balcony.
Balconies.
I know.
A lot of buildings that tell you
they don't allow it. They'll allow an electric. Sometimes they allow gas, but most of them nowadays don't allow charcoal.
I did my screen in patio. All right, you're listening to. Well, if I'm not here on Monday, look,
Keith lit it up.
I lit it up literally. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Or gloves too, like those thermal gloves where you're picking up the hot stuff.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. Few Americans say they're proud of their country, and it's now the lowest level Gallup has recorded in more than 2 decades. According to a new survey, just 58% of U.S. adults say they are extremely or very proud to be American. That's down 9 points from 2024 and 5 points lower than in 2020. The poll has tracked national pride since 2001. Back then, 87% of Americans expressed strong pride. After the September 11th attacks, that number surged to 90% and stayed high through 2004. But this year's numbers show growing divides, especially along party lines. In fact, Republicans reported the highest level of pride at 92%. Democrats dropped sharply to 36%, and independents hit a new low at 53%. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly clear, low near 65. By Wednesday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops high around 85. Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers and storms late. Blend of clouds and sun, high around 83. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Dr. Gerald W. Jones, the esteemed CEO of Courier Communications, a prominent figure in Wisconsin's media landscape. In 1964, Gerald Jones set out to create a platform for underrepresented voices and to serve the Milwaukee African American community. In his honor, the Milwaukee Courier will publish a special tribute edition in July to commemorate Dr. Jones's 86th birthday. Community members, business partners, and public officials are invited to share tributes and reflections as a part of this special commemorative issue. Join the Jones family and Courier Communications as we celebrate the life of Dr. Gerald W. Jones, July 27th from 3 until 6 p.m. at Holy Redeemer Institutional Church of God in Christ, 3500 West Mother Daniels Way.
Gear up for Quick Trip's Mountain Dew Quick Climb. Now through August 17th, play free daily in the Quick Rewards app and earn bonus plays with every eligible purchase. For example, grab one with hot food, that's 2 bonus plays. Each week, the cash prize climbs by $5,000, all the way to a $250,000 grand prize. So open the app and get climbing. Your summer, your climb, your win. No purchase necessary. See complete details at quicktrip.com/sweepstakes.
The
The open road is calling, and the ride begins at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. This July, you could burn rubber on a custom Harley Davidson in the Fire Up Your Fantasy motorcycle giveaway.
Be healthy, be you. With your host, Keith Parris, Brenda Buchanan, and Julia Means on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
Yes.
So, Anthony, anything you want to add?
No, not much. I'm just happy to be here. Great experience so far.
Yeah.
Great conversations.
Yeah.
Learning about how to cook meat and ribs and everything. And
yeah. He's going to be cooked this weekend at his house for the 4th.
He's
like, I got this.
Anthony.
You cooking?
Well, I'm going to have to now.
Right.
So you don't know how, right? Carl, I'm going to grab you real quickly. Fireworks, y'all. It's already started. You know, they in my neighborhood, they start about a week before, and by the 4th. So let me just something we didn't know when we were kids. We used to do those. I think they were M80s. I think.
The M80.
And we always put them in soda cans.
And explode.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only shrapnel. Thank you. Yeah. Bad idea. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, ladies. Good morning, gentlemen. I heard someone saying that they struggled to get the skin off the back of the ribs. Well, what you could do is you could take a butter knife and you could just get the skin started and wrap the skin around that butter knife and then roll that butter knife down the back of your ribs and the skin will come off like magic. Another thing is that for those people that have standard size Weber grills, if you're cooking baby back ribs or St. Louis style ribs, what I do is I roll my ribs up after I season. I put a toothpick in them, and then I stand my ribs upright with indirect heat, and I can get about 4 or 5 ribs on the Weber grill.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, sound like he might know something.
I know. Might have to have him bring us in some ribs.
Now,
store bought, or do you make your own sauce?
Caller?
I'm talking to you, Keith.
There's some really good good barbecue sauces out there. I use I like Saz's. They're very good. When I'm really ambitious, I go down to Speed Queen. Their barbecue sauce is really good. Sometimes make up my own. I don't want it really sweet, and that's the problem. Some of them are just really too sweet for me.
Like Sweet Baby Ray's.
Yeah.
Wonder why they call it Sweet Baby Ray's.
Because it's sweet.
Because it's sweet.
Because sweet.
Yep.
Now, let me say this. And I discovered this. Remember we talked about that ribs should be so good that you don't really need barbecue sauce.
I prefer mine without sauce, but other people like sauce. So I do make my own sauce, but I don't put it on there because a lot of people don't.
I'll put it on the caramelized, like when I'm just kind of charring
on the
it.
grill.
Yeah, but if it's good, you don't really need barbecue sauce. I mean, a lot of times barbecue sauce ketchup is used to hide stuff. I know when I was a kid,
So
I would not
barbecue-
eat black eyed peas without ketchup.
Really?
I couldn't. Oh man, I hated black eyed peas.
Do you still hate them?
Oh, I eat them now.
Yeah, I love them now. You hate black eyed peas? What is it about it you like?
I mean, I guess because when we was little, we ate them some black eyed peas, gray Nolan peas.
Yeah. See, I love beans. Just about beans and peas. I love them.
Now I like pork and beans.
Well, yeah, because there's all that sugar and
I
everything
love
added
it.
in there.
Yeah, I'm tasting it right now.
Mommy.
Mommy.
But you know what? Bring it back, pork and beans. I don't eat them today because we actually used to do pork and beans where my mother would
chop
cut up
up
hot dogs and put
it.
them in there. Oh, dude, I don't eat pork and beans.
Man, that was a meal though.
I know it was a meal.
And pork and beans and wieners. I used to love pork and beans and wieners, man. I used to love when I was little.
Pork and beans and wieners.
Pork and beans and wieners was my favorite go-to. I want pork and beans, wieners, pork and beans and sandwich, pork and beans and French fries. I was just a pork and beans type of guy. I don't know.
We ate so much of it.
Yeah.
That now I can't stand green peas. I don't even know why the creator even decided to make that particular vegetable.
Peas.
That which one?
You said peas?
Oh man, peas.
Yeah, you can keep them.
You can keep
My
the
auntie
peas.
showed up with this ice cream bucket full of pea salad.
Oh,
She usually take that whole bucket back with her too.
Don't do it. If you need something green in there, maybe do. I'm trying to think what you can substitute. Celery. What is the onions?
Scallions
Not
or
scallion, the young onions.
the little thin ones.
Yeah, those shallots.
It could be shallots.
Scallions.
It could be scallions. It could be chives.
Yeah, put something in if you just need to make it green.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is a lot of people. I was asking Anthony off air, does he swim? And he goes, no. We just had a situation where a young man just jumped in Pewaukee Lake and drowned.
Yeah.
One of the issues we find among African American young people is that they don't swim. They never took swimming lessons. And then when they get around water, they want to get in the water thinking, I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know, Keith. When I was in high school, it was a requirement as part of your
It was
FIA.
for me too. It was a requirement.
But you can opt out, right?
No.
We couldn't opt out. It was a requirement for us.
Okay.
But lake water is different than swimming pool water.
Okay.
And so you got to be
the
careful
currents
about
and
that.
everything.
If you're not used to jumping in the lake, you don't need to.
Right. Well,
jump in the
those
lake.
currents.
Jumping in the lake. You got the swimming
Oh, don't take that
pool.
literally. That means
Yeah. You got your swimming pool where you got your edges you can go to,
Mhm.
get to, and the ladder.
And you
stuff.
don't have all those currents
Right,
under
right,
the water.
right.
So
So you
that makes a
you gotta
difference.
think about
Yeah.
I know when Rhonda was training for the triathlon, she's a swimmer. And she said the big difference was when she trained in the pool was very different than when she would actually be out in the water that they use. Because even though it was a man-made lake, they still would get currents.
Yeah.
And they were telling you also, I don't know if we deal with rip currents as much here. I think we could, but Lake Michigan, we're kind of on a sandbar. So literally you can walk out, and you're not into deep water because of the sandbar.
But you can hit a drop off.
You can hit a drop
and
off.
all of a sudden
Right.
you're under.
I never understood why people swam in Land and Quarry. To this day, it's deep.
Oh, the quarry.
Yeah,
I know.
Racine had one.
Yeah,
right?
we have it, and every year somebody drowns in there. It's not open for swimming anymore, but when I was in high school, it was. But yeah, every year somebody's jumping in there and dying. It's not a safe place. But I know you talked about not learning to swim. When my son was little, we did swim lessons together. Where the parent had to be in the pool, because I think he might have been a year and a half, 2 years old.
They said the earlier you get him in the pool.
And then he went on to do swimming as a sport, went to state all years, and medaled all 3 years in high school. But I put him in swimming because he was afraid of water. And I didn't want him to be afraid of water. So that's why I started him there. And then just, at the Y, they have all those classes all up until, minnow, fish, graduate to the next level. I put him in all of those.
You swim?
I do. I'm not like the best swimmer, but I do swim.
You swim?
I can dog pedal, and I can float on my back.
I can dog pedal. I can sink.
And I know how to stay afloat. If
Treading water.
I know how to tread water. But as far as just,
I think one of the issues we had growing up in an urban environment was, especially in the summertime, if you go to swim at Lincoln Park, you know how many kids in you bumping into kids, and there's so many kids in there. Because for most kids, it's just keep it cool.
Yeah.
Right. It's this. They had a natatorium over at our Avenue Moody, and the kids were only in there when it was hot. It wasn't hot when anybody in there.
No.
And
it was beautiful.
Yeah, they called it a dark pool though.
Yeah.
They call it a dark pool because kids be so dirty. And sometimes they pump up the chlorine, and we could smell it over at the field houses. It's like, ooh. But it used to be here that you had to take a shower
before you got in the pool.
And then you had a lifeguard that would check your feet to make sure before you got in the water.
Yeah. Well, I go to the Wisconsin Athletic Club, and they have signs everywhere: shower before you get in any of the pools. And then they even have a shower right by the pool where you can just rinse off.
How can you not pee though? You get it all in water.
Yeah, and then you got to get out. I'm sure not all people get out.
Don't they do something though with the treatment?
They don't.
Okay.
If that were true, that would be hilarious. That would be really funny.
Oh man, some other things that people should look out being safe this holiday weekend.
Well, if you're going to do fireworks, which are illegal to use in Wisconsin, unless you have a permit.
In Milwaukee.
Yes, that's right. Other places can, but we know people don't get their, backyard permits. They just, but if you're going to do that, which we know people are, you just have to be really safe about it. Always keep a water source nearby if something starts on fire, because, those rockets and things, they can tip and go the wrong way.
The guys that burned up the Wisconsin Electric building.
Wasn't that silly?
Fireworks got on top of the building caught on fire.
Lit it up.
Yeah. Matter of fact, last year out in Brown Deer, my friend's apartment on the 4th caught on fire. It was actually on the news. Caught on fire. Somebody was lighting the fireworks outside, and it hit the pole where everything was connecting, and the whole thing caught on fire. Yeah, and a lot of people was homeless from that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so please be careful with that.
Yeah. And if you're going to let your kids do sparklers, they can get up to like 2,000 degrees. Those things are hot. They can cause some serious damage. You gotta watch your kids, and they even
go to Motley Lake
to do
this because all we could get was the sparklers.
Yeah,
and sparklers and those little caps.
Oh yeah, and those little firecrackers will blow up in your fingers in a minute. Many people have lost tips of fingers.
Who's the football player?
Yes.
Pierre Paul, right?
Oh, yeah.
Blew his fingers off playing with fireworks. Well, let me thank Miss Julia Means. Let me thank Mr. Anthony Mercado. Let me thank Miss Brenda Buchanan. Debo, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jermaine, thank you, bruh. I don't know if this is true or not.
It's true. And they waived Damian Lillard. Yeah,
Really?
They waived him. Yeah.
So the Bucks got Miles Turner from Indiana
for $107 million. 4 years, $107
and
million.
I didn't mention it, but it has been confirmed. Jimmy Swaggart did die today.
Oh, he passed.
He had a heart attack.
He had a
2
heart
weeks
attack.
ago.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Hey, good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Let our